Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. In this week's news, the Village of Oxford office staff may soon be looking for new digs. And another Oxford Fire Department open house was a big success.
Stay tuned, learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. A nonprofit developer, Venture Incorporated, appears interested in purchasing the Oxford Village office property at 22 West Burdick. The developer is seeking to build a multi-use building which would provide affordable senior citizen apartments as well as retail and office space for commercial use. Venture Incorporated is linked to a nonprofit Oakland Livingston Human Services Agency who builds and sells affordable homes to low-income home buyers. Approval to sell the property was given to the Village Council by the Oxford residents during the November 2012 election. The property consists of 2 parcels with a total of 1.7 acres. Under consideration is a $450,000 offer. Venture representatives will present a proposal at Tuesday's October 25th Village Council meeting that begins at 6:30 p.m.
Discussion of the new Oxford Village rental ordinance again drew a full house at the Oxford Village Council this week. While Village Attorney Bob Davis stated revisions had been made to the maintenance code in response to previous landlord concerns, developer landlord Chuck Schneider called the ordinance vague and ambiguous, setting a precedent which could grow like an amoeba.
This house is for sale. It will take your breath away when you walk in that house. It's a private residence. It's not a rental unit. So for you to sit there and say, these units are all bad and these units are all good, it's an insult to my intelligence. That's BS. That is not realistic. You're kidding yourselves if you think that's the case. So really what it says is you've isolated a specific group of individuals and you tend to want to discriminate against them as compared to the rest of the community. I have no problem at all, along with the other gentleman. If you want to inspect everybody, I'm on board. We're all the same. I pay the same taxes as all these other people. So why am I being singled out? Personally, I'm not concerned about my properties, but I'm concerned about the precedents we're setting because what's going to be next? Is this like an amoeba that grows and expands and goes and goes? That's what it sounds like. It's just the beginning. The second thing in the very first paragraph of your registration or your agreement is, it says, when the village, in order to ensure when the determination be necessary, the rental units meet the applicable standards. What are the applicable standards? So I find this agreement to be vague and ambiguous. What are applicable standards? And it goes further on to say, the village with certain defined inspection rights for units under defined circumstances. What is defined circumstances? Would someone like to explain applicable standards and defined circumstances?
Well, Chuck, you're reading.
You're not supposed to respond to me.
Yeah.
DDA newcomers, Regina Woodson, principal owner of the Oxford AAA Insurance Agency, and Sam Barna, Oxford School District's Assistant Superintendent of Business, have been approved by the Oxford Village Council to replace Ed Hunwick and Jerry Kremen. Woodson, along with Barna, shows promise to keep a close eye on the DDA budget.
As I was telling the DDA last month, the experience that I bring to the board is over 30 years of accounting finance experience. I do have a degree in accounting with a minor in business administration. I did work for Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan for 10 years. One of my assignments there was an auditor. Another assignment I was a leader in the financial accounting department of Blue Cross Blue Shield. After I left Blue Cross Blue Shield, I went to work for a nonprofit organization, which is where I was prior to the AAA assignment. I was Assistant Director of Administration of a nonprofit organization on 110 acres in Southfield, Michigan. I had a lot of oversight with the operations as far as vendors and just the overall general well-being of the organization. I was also in charge of the finance there and all of the revenues that came in. I had a team of 15 people that reported to me. I'm very much interested in the preservation of downtown Oxford, and I would like to bring all of the years of experience that I have had to the board and see what I can bring to enhance what they already have going on.
Current DDA member Rod Charles was reappointed to remain on the board.
The Oxford Fire Department hosted their annual open house, and firefighters helped kids and parents become familiar with all of their emergency fire trucks and ambulances. A noisy Jaws of Life demonstration was particularly interesting to the kids as firefighters virtually dismantled a car right in front of their eyes. Little future firefighters ran hoses and learned CPR techniques in hopes that they may save a life in the future. Hats off to the Oxford Fire Department and EMTs who safeguard our lives.
If you are a person who can't afford eye care, listen up. On Saturday, October 29th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m., the Oxford American Legion Post 108, 130 East Drainer Road will be providing free eye examinations for veterans and non-veterans alike. There will be 9 ophthalmologists available for the testing, and free reading glasses will be available to anyone who needs a pair. As a bonus, everyone who comes in and get an eye examination will receive either breakfast or lunch at the post free of charge. Those of you who have eyeglasses and or medications, please bring them with you for the exam. You can make an appointment for your free examination by calling 248-628-9081.
Recently, Oxford area retailers showed off some of the season's latest fashions at the Oxford Women's Club annual fashion show. There will be over 200 people in attendance, which generated nearly $5,000 to go towards Oxford School District scholarships. All in all, everyone had a great time, and the money went for a great cause.
Clear Lake Elementary students were given a special treat to begin their 2016-17 school theme, Learning the Ultimate Game. Detroit Pistons coach Aaron Smith and Pistons mascot Hooper showed up to impress the kids and to set their goals. Kids learned about health foods to eat and how to be kind to others. Kids played games where prizes were awarded by the Pistons.
That's it for Oxford News this week. If you'd like to learn more about these stories and others, stop by your local store and pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, you can catch us right here at Charter Channel 191 or AT&T Channel 99.
All right. Coming up on OCTV, Oxford Sports with Jamie Hughes, and also catch Oxford School News with John Ochins. And don't miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles, and this is Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news right here, closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors, and thanks for watching.
Welcome to American Legion in Oxford for the best fish on Fridays. That's right, from noon to 8:30. You can get the best walleye in Michigan. You can get walleye, baked cod, chicken strips, baked potatoes, and more. On the hall side of the Legion, oh, hello there, friends. You can have 12 friends on a table, any one of the best military museums in Michigan. And the dining side, oh, hello again. More comfortable with many 4-seat tables and a couple of 5-seaters. Now on Friday we usually have about 400 to 500 of best friends for our fish. Carry-out? You bet. We have 50 to 60 carry-outs at the post. We have some young friends with the birthdays and some of our best seniors at the post. Oh yeah, waitresses, they go like a track waitress to get your food. If you have never enjoyed our Secrets famous walleye at the Legion, come on in every Friday from noon to 8:30 at the American Legion Post 108 on 130 East Drainer Road, Oxford.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, it's not funny anymore. Creepy clown sightings have now spread across the U.S., Australia, and the U.K., where police forces have dealt with a deluge of reports of killer clowns frightening the public. So, what's going on? The craze is spreading like a disease, says Nicholas Christakis at Yale University, who researches social contagion. This kind of mass hysteria taps into a variety of fundamentals in the human psyche. We're social animals and we copy others and learn from them, says Christakis. People start suddenly seeing things because others around them report seeing them. Then the behavioral contagion starts. It's a vicious circle. The more incidents that surface, the more dread the phenomena evokes, and the more people feel the need to participate. One worry is that someone will use the panic to do genuine harm. Another is of retaliation. That may be starting already, as a report of a clown hunt in Australia suggests. But why now? Mass hysteria tends to emerge in times of uncertainty, says Christakis. Historically, these kinds of delusions happen when there is a lack of stability. In our next story, many say dementia is a scarier prospect than cancer. But there may be new ways to reduce the risk of dementia, hence the first comprehensive review of the influence of environment on its incidence. The causes of dementia are not completely understood. Around a third of an individual's risk seems to be down to their genes, while health factors like weight, exercise, and cardiovascular health account for about 20%. The remainder is something of a mystery. Our environment probably has a role to play, says Tim Russ of the University of Edinburgh in the UK. Looking at 60 past studies, Russ's team found plenty of evidence that air pollution is associated with dementia. There weren't any studies that didn't find a link between air pollution and dementia, says Russ. Particulate matter, nitric oxides, ozone, and carbon monoxide all were linked to dementia. There was also a clear link with vitamin D deficiency and a weaker association with passive smoking and occupational exposure to pesticides. More surprising was the link between dementia and living close to power lines. There's not a lot of evidence, but what there is seems to be reasonably robust, says Russ. It's a small association, and I'm not sure what the mechanism would be. Russ says it would be premature to advise people to limit their exposure to any of these things. Although some studies provide strong evidence of correlations, the team cannot definitely conclude that any of these factors actually cause dementia. It would be down to governments and public health agencies to control things like air pollution, says Russ. People hoping to reduce their own chances of getting dementia should follow existing advice, which recommends limiting the risk by eating healthily, getting plenty of exercise, and not smoking. In our next story, a bouncy, bendy, 3D printed bone could revolutionize implants for facial deformities and reconstruction. Current implants are often brittle and so break easily and can't be remodeled during surgery. Now, an ink has been developed that can be used to 3D print bone implants of any size, shape, and form, from leg bones to entire skulls. And because the implants are flexible, they can be cut into the perfect shape in the operating theater. The ink is made from hydroxyapatite, a mineral found naturally in bone, and PLGA, a polymer that binds the mineral particles together and gives the implants their elasticity. We were very surprised to find when we squeezed an implant, it bounced back to its original shape, says Ramil Shah at Northwestern University in Chicago. Once in place, the implants are rapidly infiltrated by blood vessels and gradually turn into natural bone. This offers a cheap and versatile way to repair an injury. Shah's team calls the implant material hyperelastic bone and says it could be used for many treatments, from dealing with fractures and spine repairs to implants to rebuild faces after injury or chemotherapy. Wow. In our last story, this is how minds are made. For months after birth, armies of neurons migrate through the brain, and now researchers have had the best look at this process yet. Eric Huang at the University of California in San Francisco and his team worked with donated brain tissue from infants who had died of causes unrelated to their brains. They kept thin slices of brains alive in a dish for up to 2 days, and using a microscope were able to see cells continuing to migrate. MRI scans showed large numbers of neurons moving into the frontal lobes, which are responsible for higher thought processes. They formed this beautiful arc, says Huang. The brains of recently born babies had the most moving neurons, with numbers largely falling off by about 5 months of age. Well, That's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back after this.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcats School Update. There's been some contract updating in our district. One of them has to do with the International Student Program and the Wei Ming organization. Superintendent Tim Throne says it was all based on input from teachers, employees, and the community. Here's more.
There was three main areas that we wanted to target. One, we wanted to reduce the length of the contract from 20 to 5 years. We wanted to have the ability to increase tuition to cover costs. And I think the last thing was that we wanted to remove the exclusivity with just Wei Ming and international students. Why is that important? We felt that was important because we heard people saying, we want you to start looking at bringing students from multiple backgrounds, multiple countries, that kind of thing. And so those were the three main areas that we targeted and were successful in renegotiating with Wei Ming.
Lately, there's been more expressed concern over trying to get the kids to socialize more. Throne talks about a new effort to bring everyone together.
This year, one of the coolest things that we're trying out is we've started an intramural program. And the intramural program was something that, I had heard people talk about 10, 15 years ago, and we've never been able to do it. This year, we were able to start that at the high school, and that's open to all students, not just international students, but start an intramural program after school that allows all of our students to really come together, learn more about each other in a fun way of sports and activities. And so we're really excited about that.
We will also be involving our Chinese kids in some of the language classes.
Utilizing our second year international students, pushing them into our language courses and having them really help our students with language acquisition. And so we think that's a benefit on both fronts. Students trying to acquire a language skill, specifically Chinese, what better way of getting help than someone who's fluent in Chinese?
Superintendent Tim Throne. You've probably heard there will be a millage issue on the ballot in November. Assistant Superintendent of Business and Finance, Sam Barna, is announcing some educational forums that are coming up.
There's going to be two community forums for the upcoming non-homestead millage, which will be obviously on November the 8th. The two community forum meetings will be held at first the Oxford Township offices, which is off of Dunlap Road in Oxford Township, obviously, and that's going to be on Wednesday, October the 26th at 7 p.m. And then the following day, actually at Oxford High School, we are also having at 7 p.m. The second forum for the non-homestead millage, as well as, I should say, this is going to be a dual meeting with the actual Parks and Rec department as well.
As you know, Oxford Schools has many programs involving kids giving back. One of those is out at Lakeville Elementary. It's called Pennies for Pasta. Martine Bonney and Olivia Lena are the co-chairs.
And the children are encouraged to bring in loose change, coins they find around the home. They all put them in their classroom collection box. And at the end, we hope to collect at least $650. That's what we collected last year. And all of that money goes towards the lymphoma and Leukemia Foundation of Michigan. And all the monies raised in Michigan stay in Michigan.
The winning class gets Olive Garden pasta, breadsticks, and salad.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So is that like, do they bring it into school or what happens?
Yes, we will pick it up from them, from the store, and if we have any, we have gluten-free pasta, if we have to have any of those students are participating that are gluten-free, they also accommodate them, and we serve it as a snack in the afternoon.
Well, another successful homecoming has come and gone at OHS. Not only was there a victory on the field against Troy Athens, but the usual fun parade and election of king and queen. This year's homecoming royalty are Garrett Tyrell and Sophia Bell. As always, a good time was had by all. That's the Oxford School Update for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
Back with you in Oxford News this week. It's time for sports, and yes, what an appropriate win. It happened on homecoming weekend. Oxford improved to 4-3 in football, 41-13, and they took it to Troy Athens. Again, homecoming night, beautiful night for homecoming, beautiful night for football. We were there to capture it all. The win makes 3 wins in a row for the Wildcats. The Wildcats took a 20-13 lead into halftime. In the second half, the Wildcats defense shut out the Red Hawks and put up 21 points of its own to seal the victory. Oxford got solid performances by 3 of their running backs. That's very important. Ethan Williams led the way, 17 carries and 2 touchdowns. Devin Hudson had filled in nicely with 12 touches of the ball. He managed to get 2 touchdowns as well. And it was capped off later in the contest, a TD by Myron Jackson on a 3-yard scramble. Again, very important. Oxford picking up that victory. Oxford will host Southfield next Friday, looking for its 4th win and improving in the OAA white. We jump to the volleyball court, and the Oxford varsity lost to Stony Creek in a 5-set match. That loss came at 3-2. The JV and freshmen, however, picked up victories in the Stony Creek contest. That game and match was seen here on OCTV. Oxford varsity lost to Clarkson in volleyball in their last league match of the season. That contest 3-1. We jump out to the soccer field. Oxford traveled to Farmington Harrison for their league game, their first league game of the season. The Hawks won that match 2-1. The goal in each half, Oxford pulled within 1. PK from captain Nick Wright. Senior defender Brad Bailey played a solid back and forth. The Wildcats now stand in the OAA white 2-4-1. Overall, though, their record is 6-8-3. That, of course, in soccer. Jumping out to the Lynx, they traveled to Southfield to play Berkeley at the Evergreen Hills. They were led by Kenzie at 38. Yankee had not far behind at 40. Mancini 56 and Hotman chipped in at 59. Rounding out the scoring, Oxford managed to only get it by 3, but they picked up a win on the golf match, 193-196. And that put that a win in their column. Check out the website, Oxford Athletic website. It's all one word. It's oxfordathletics.org. That's where we get our news source and find out where our athletes are supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, and it's right there at your fingertips. Once again, oxfordathletics.org. Check it out. We get our news source from there. While you're on the World Wide Web, we want to mention, check our website out. It's OCCTV.org. You can go to our PEG Central and YouTube and catch any one of our programs. That might be important if you're switching from the ATT UVerse system to whatever they are putting up now. You're not able to get local programming. Go on the World Wide Web. Go to our website. We have a link there, OCCTV.org. Just a reminder, if you want to catch some of the local programming here from OCTV. You can catch it on your computer, iPad, or phone, wherever you choose to watch. I encourage you to watch on the weekends, Saturday and Sunday. We broadcast our sports between 1 and 6. Again, OCCTV.org. The website for Oxford Community Television. That's going to wrap in sports. I'm Jamie Hughes. Have yourself a great week. We'll talk again. See you later, everybody.
Veterans and your families, you are invited for a free eye exam and brunch Saturday, October 29th, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at American Legion Post 108. That's the one on Drainer Road near M24. Just call 248-628-9081 for an appointment. It's sponsored by American Legion Post 108, the Michigan Society of Eye Physicians and Surgeons, and the Rotary Club International.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, Ford Motor Company is idling its Mustang factory in Michigan for a week after the iconic sports car suffered a 32% sales decline in the U.S. last month and was outsold by the Chevrolet Camaro for the first time in almost 2 years. The automaker idled its plant in Flat Rock, south of Detroit, to match production capacity with the demand, Kelly Felker, a company spokesman, said in an email statement. The plant, which employs 3,702 workers and makes Mustangs and Lincoln Continentals, will resume production October 17th, Felker said. Under the automaker's labor agreement, workers will be paid during the shutdown. The idling may be a sign of the growing weakness in the U.S. auto market, which has been a leading driver of economic growth. Automakers' monthly sales have been coming up short, although they beat expectations in September, and many analysts are now predicting the U.S. auto industry won't match last year's record of 17.5 million cars and trucks. Mustang, which is among Ford's most storied nameplates, received a racy redesign 2 years ago on the car's 50th anniversary. That new look helped propel the Mustang past the Camaro in 2015 to regain its title of the top-selling sports car in America, which it had held for decades before General Motors redesigned the Camaro in 2010. Camaro overtook Mustang last month for the first time since October of 2014 on the strength of incentives that more than tripled last month to $3,409 a car, compared with an average discount of $2,602 on the Ford Pony car, according to data from researcher J.D. Power obtained by Bloomberg. With a slowing market for cars, Camaro's inventory rose to 139-day supply at the end of August, said Jim Kane, a GM spokesman. The incentives, coming at the end of the 2016 model year, helped lower Camaro supply to 120 days, still twice what is considered an optimum inventory. Mustang supply rose to 89 days at the end of September from 71 days a month earlier. The deals on the Camaro will cool off this month as the GM rolls out the 2017 model, Kane said. And at Chevrolet, Chevrolet's diesel-powered Cruze hatchback, the brand's first compact hatchback available in North America, could be the first non-hybrid car this century to achieve 50 miles per gallon on the highway. GM officials said the Cruze hatchback will get an optional 1.6-liter turbo diesel in the 2018 model year. The fuel-efficient engine will be paired with a 9-speed automatic transmission or a 6-speed manual. Diesel engines, on average, can improve fuel economy by 20% over gasoline engines. The EPA has not rated the fuel economy on the Cruze diesel hatchback yet. Auto Pacific analyst Dave Sullivan thinks GM would be happy with 47 or 48 miles per gallon. If the Cruze diesel can hit 47 or 48 miles per gallon, it should be a success in closing the gap with hybrids for highway driving efficiency, Sullivan said. Keep in mind that the Malibu hybrid gets 46 miles per gallon on the highway. And on the recall front, Toyota Motor Corporation said is recalling around 340,000 of its latest Prius model in Japan and overseas to fix a parking brake issue. The recall covers models produced between August of 2015 and October of 2016 and affects around 210,000 vehicles in Japan and 94,000 in North America, Toyota said, adding that the balance would be recalled in Australia, Europe, and other regions. No accidents have been reported in Japan in connection with the issue, a Toyota spokesman said, while declining to comment on whether any accidents had occurred overseas. And at Honda, American Honda is recalling approximately 350,000 Civic Coupes, sedans in the U.S. from 2016 model year to fix an issue with the vehicle's electronic parking brake. The automaker in a statement said the software that controls the vehicle stability control unit may prevent application of the electronic parking brake when it's applied immediately after turning the vehicle ignition off. After the electronic parking brake, without, that is, the electronic parking brake properly engaged on the vehicle in park, the Civic could roll away, causing injury. No accidents or injuries have been reported as a result of the issue, Honda said, and the problem was discovered through warranty claims related to the illumination of the brake warning light, they said. Honda will begin notifying affected Civic owners in November, and dealers will install a software update free of charge. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back after this.